General Hospital, Willow's runaway bride shocker? General Hospital sees Willow Tate, Caitlin McMullen, and Drew Kane Quartermain's, Cameron Matheson, wedding at the end of this week. But is Willow going to be a runaway bride after somebody drops a bombshell? Is Drew going to be jilted at the altar? We're going to talk about whether Willow finally gets a clue before it's too late and skips out on her obsessed bad boy groom Drew/Congressman Cutthroat. No doubt fans would love it. I'd love it. General Hospital spoilers, Willow and Drew's wedding coming up? So Willow and Drew's wedding day is fast approaching. It kicks off at the end of this week, and it's not going to go the way Willow or her fiancé Drew think it will. We know from official General Hospital spoilers there's chaos at the wedding, and it actually starts before the wedding. You know, we've got Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watros, Lissel Albrecht, Kathleen Gotti, Curtis Ashford, Donnell Turner, and Portia Robinson, Brooke Kerr, more desperate by the minute to stop Willow from ruining her life by becoming Mrs. Drew Kane. And most importantly, just to stop Drew from his reign of terror. General Hospital spoilers, chaos and secrets surround Willow and Drew's wedding. This week, Portia told Willow what kind of man she's marrying. She said Drew wants Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson, to look like an opioid addict. But to Portia's horror, Willow didn't even bat an eyelash at Drew's blackmail and dirty scheming. Willow condoned what Drew was plotting and said, if that's what it takes to get her kids back, that's fine because Michael played dirty, so why shouldn't she? After picking her jaw up off the floor, Portia called Nina and said, come see me right away. Then Portia says, Willow. Her whole reaction just terrified her. She's wondering, what has Drew done to Willow? Although she already knew it, Nina realizes things are so much worse than she thought and tells that to Ava Jerome, Maura West, this week. What I thought was really interesting also was that Drew has figured out that Willow was the one probably targeting Daisy and tormented Sasha Gilmore, Sophia Matson, into leaving town. And boy, did he look like a proud perverted uncle, right? He realized it and didn't confront her. He was like, yeah, this is the woman I'm going to marry. Right? Right in his wheelhouse. And that's scary. Willow's dark secrets and Drew's disturbing approval. Nina wants to shut this wedding down. She's thinking, all right, I may just have to tell the truth about sleeping with Drew. Nina may think, okay, even if Willow winds up hating me and wants nothing to do with me, it's worth it if I get her away from Drew. Curtis is equally desperate. After Portia tried to get Willow to see reason and realize she's just as bad as Drew, Curtis is going to drop by to see Portia and finds her freaking out. She tells Curtis, if you've got an ace up your sleeve, now is the time to play it. He wants to shut Drew down once and for all. Curtis recently told Nina, sometimes you have to betray a friend, and he's going to repeat that phrase this week before he actually does it. When Curtis said that, he had a flashback to Nina telling him about her affair with Drew way back when. So yeah, it looks like Curtis could spill the beans to Willow, and it's going to come as she's getting ready to walk down the aisle. Curtis shows up to the room where she's doing her makeup and says he's going to fight to save Willow, but it means he's going to betray a friend, obviously her mom, Nina, most likely, unless it's a bait and switch. Wedding day drama, Curtis betrayal and the bombshell reveal. I feel like Curtis is probably going to blab to Willow about Nina and Drew's fling. The only way I think he won't is if someone interrupts them or if Willow says, look, nothing you say is going to stop this wedding. Bug off. However, we all know that Bombshell is way overdue and too many people know it has to come out. Once Willow finds out, she is in this place where she has to make a decision about her future and who she can trust. She can try and deny it and say she doesn't believe Curtis, but it would certainly explain a lot of things that Nina has said and done regarding Drew and her intense level of animosity. In the end, I think Willow is going to have to accept that it's true. But what then? Is this wedding to Drew over before it starts? Will there be a I don't instead of a I do I? So there are a few possible outcomes. Will Willow say I do or run away from Drew? Most obvious, Willow could just go ahead and marry Drew despite what Curtis tells her. In the end, Willow could decide, you know what the hell? I'm in so deep already. I'm just going to go. Drew loves me. I love him. His fling with my mom is long over. It was a mistake. Unfortunately, that is a very likely outcome of this scenario. At the same time, we are almost at the end of July sweeps, and Willow ditching Drew at the altar would score huge ratings. He is so hated. So we have to talk about that as another possible outcome. It would be amazing and unexpected, and let's face it, fans would love it. Can you imagine if Willow just runs off after Curtis drops the bombshell? What if Willow ran off without even seeing Drew? Everybody's in the chapel expecting the bride to walk down the aisle. Drew's staring at the door, excited to see her come in her gown, and instead somebody comes in and says, Willow's gone. Curtis would be happy to say, haha Drew, your girl ran off. The downside to that is we wouldn't get to see a wedding day Willow versus Mama Nina confrontation, which leads to another possible outcome. We could see the bomb drop, it explodes, and then there's a big showdown where Willow confronts Drew and Nina at the altar. The reason I feel like that's less likely is because Scout Kane, Cosette Abinante, is in the room, and she's just had a conversation with Willow about, should I call you Mom? So, we could see her thinking about what Curtis says, and assuming he does go ahead and tell her, Willow could storm down the aisle, confront Drew and Nina, and then run off alone, leaving her non-groom and her mom shocked. Runaway bride scenario and potential confrontations at the altar. I think a runaway bride scenario would be the coolest outcome, whether it comes with or without a big confrontation at the altar. If Willow does run off, she might head up to Dr. Isaiah Gannon's Sandy Wilson cabin because there was a fair amount of talk between Willow and Isaiah about the cabin Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson left him. Willow knows Isaiah is going to be up there and it's isolated. He's alone. It seems like all that cabin talk is not for nothing, right? Of course, it could be Portia who winds up running off to the cabin to be alone because she's freaking out. However, equally it could be Willow. She knows nobody would look for her at Isaiah's cabin. Hardly anybody knows he even owns it or where it is. So Willow could lie low there to avoid Drew, Nina, the fallout and the backlash. 3 weeks back, we reported on a rumor we heard about Willow possibly moving back to the Quartermaine mansion for a while to be close to Michael and the kids. This rumor didn't say anything about Willow and Michael getting romantic, just that it was a way for her to be near her children. So Willow might run and hide at Isaiah's cabin just for a minute to catch her breath. Then maybe Willow reaches out to Michael, tells him she dumped Drew, and asks to come back and stay and be around her kids because Michael told her, get rid of Drew. You can have the kids back in your life. Willow's possible escape plan, Isaiah's cabin and reconnecting with Michael. This could be the watershed moment. I can't wait to see how it all goes down at the wedding. While I do hope Willow pulls a runner and bails on Drew, leaving him at the altar, we have to remember even if we get excited, even if that happens, that doesn't mean he won't be able to change her mind later. Willow is so susceptible to Drew's gaslighting. Britt's alive. The secret behind GH's death reversal. General Hospital sees Kelly Thibault back and now it's official. She is playing Britt Westbourne and not somebody else. But the big question is, how is GH going to undo her death? We're going to talk about exactly what General Hospital can do to unravel the death of Liesl Albrecht's, Kathleen Gotti daughter, and of course the biggest hurdle that they have to overcome so they don't alienate fans. General Hospital, Kelly Thibault back as Britt Westbourne. So you know by now of course Kelly Thibault is back to General Hospital. We've already seen her on screen twice so far. Hopefully more to come. The first time was just a glimpse when Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, spotted a woman that looked familiar, looked like Britt at the airport getting on a flight to Croatia when he was overseas dropping off Sasha Gilmore, Sophia Matson. And then Jason has some flashbacks to his romance with her, which solidified, yes, it's at least a Britt lookalike, but he wasn't allowed to follow her onto the plane. And then we saw Britt a second time. She got out of a car in Croatia and said, it's good to be back. Also in Croatia, of course, is the courier who picked up that info from Dalton and was being stalked by WSB agents Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy, and Vaughn, Bryce Durfee, and also Sidwell, Carlo Rota. Rumor has it Liesl may be working with Dalton. So Britt being on a collision course with Dalton is pretty interesting. Her being there when that rumor came out all kind of lines up nicely. Kelly Thibault's return to General Hospital, Britt Westbourne's mysterious comeback and Croatia connection. So right now we don't know what Britt has been doing in the 2 years since she supposedly died. Last we saw, she passed away in Liesl's arms after she was stabbed by the hook killer's poison hook. And of course, that was Heather Weber Ali Mills. Despite Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, smack-talking Brit to Rocco Falceroni, Finn Francis Carr, fact was no matter how Brit lived, she did die a hero. She sacrificed herself to save his ex-stepsister Jocelyn. And of course, we had to wonder if she was just somebody who happened to look like Brit or had plastic surgery, you know, something like that. But now it has been confirmed Kelly Thibault is in fact Brit back to life somehow. General Hospital's biggest obstacle. So, you got to wonder how is General Hospital going to explain how Brit survived the poison hook attack? Well, right off the bat, that's the most plausible part of this. The bigger obstacle for General Hospital writers to overcome is that Liesl's daughter had Huntington's disease. She was already experiencing symptoms. And no, they're not sidestepping it or just going to, you know, rewrite and pretend like that never happened because Jason had flashbacks to talking to Brit about her diagnosis. So there's already a bunch of people on soap social media infuriated at the very idea that General Hospital might try and explain her Huntington's diagnosis casually, just explain it away because bottom line it's a real disease. It is incurable and it's ultimately fatal and Brit was already suffering and her dad Caesar Faison, Anders Hove, had a bad case of it by the time he died. So, the General Hospital writers are kind of nuts if they try and say it was cured because that's medically impossible. So they need to be careful and I hope they do it right. General Hospital's challenge, explaining Brit Westbourne's survival and Huntington's disease storyline. We actually know a couple of ways General Hospital can undo Brit's death without making a mockery of a serious and incurable medical condition. You know, first they can go super soapy and say that it's Brit, but it's actually a Brit Westbourne clone created by Dalton's lab in one of his weird experimenting on humans and animals experiments. I mean, yes, that is bat crap crazy, but it's a soap. And remember on the General Hospital spin-off Port Charles, they had vampires and Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, had a fling back in the day with Casey, the space alien. Never forget that if you wonder what General Hospital will and won't do. General Hospital's options to explain how Brit is alive. So, a clone would explain Brit's sudden reappearance without Huntington's. That would also eliminate the hook killer attack from when Heather got her, you know, because it would basically her but not her. So maybe Liesl was tinkering with Brit DNA, sampling it, trying to find a cure, and she grew a clone, maybe even one that she meant to experiment with, but it was too late. Second, Liesl might have saved Brit from the hook poison, but then that would still leave her with the Huntingtons. So maybe Liesl is working on a cure with Dalton. And it could be Liesl is the boss that Dalton and Sidwell were talking about when they said the boss isn't happy with the lack of progress. Hospital, Brit's Huntington's misdiagnosis. So another option they could do is to say that Brit never really had the illness. Although one Faison had the disease, maybe Brit's Huntington's diagnosis wasn't real. Now I know she went to a different doctor out of state and all that. However, General Hospital is really bad for retcons. So they could make it out that somebody altered her test results out of revenge. Lots of people hated her. Now, the one who probably hates Brit Westbourne, Kelly Thibault, the most is Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens-Bruning, but she was in a coma at the time, so it couldn't be her. If they are going to say somebody faked Brit's test and you know, they could have been drugging her to give her the symptoms. That's kind of soapy. General Hospital, Brit's diagnosis faked? My best guess would be if they go this route that it is Lulu's brother Nicholas Cassadine, Adam Huss. He totally could have done it. He had the resources. There is a hint that when they do Leslie Weber's Denise Alexander death, there's going to be a Cassadine coming back. That could be Nicholas as part of this. And Nick might have done it to punish Brit because she stole his sister's embryo. And you know he was darker and more ruthless back then. Nicholas at one point was engaged to Brit, but he broke it off after he found out she stole Lulu's embryo. He later did soften up on Brit, but there is plenty of room for a revenge retcon featuring Nicholas. General Hospital, Nicholas' dark side. I mean, this is the same guy who hired someone to shoot Hayden Barnes, Rebecca Budig, and hit Drew Kane Quartermain, now Cameron Matheson instead. Also, it could have been Luke Spencer, Anthony Gary. He was still alive back then and absolutely he would have done that. He was not a Faison fan and would have been furious at Brit. Possible soap opera plot twists, clones, retcons, and revenge in Brit Westbourne's storyline. So there are options, but with Britt heading to Croatia, the same place as Dalton's courier, that seems not a coincidence. One of the General Hospital leakers spilled a rumor that Britt was herself, but without her memories. They said her memories would come back. So, whatever process they used to cure the hook poisoning, maybe wiped her memories, and maybe Dalton developed a radical therapy to fry the Huntingtons out of Britt's brain. Even took out part of her brain where it was, but it gave her temporary amnesia. Amnesia's big on soaps. General Hospital, Britt has a secret twin? Another option is this new Britt could be a secret twin that Liesl discovered while looking for a cure for Britt's Huntingtons. We know Liesl and Faison had so many enemies. So someone might have stolen one of their kids if Britt had a twin. Liesl might not even have known it. That's happened a couple of times on General Hospital. Faison might have stolen one of the twins, raised it away from Liesl cause he was insane. And Britt came onto the scene as an adult. So her backstory can be twisted around however they want, including adding a twin. Liesl might have found the twin, used WSB memory mapping, and Liesl may have implanted Britt's memories to overwrite the other woman's. Liesl might have saved Britt's memories because of the Huntingtons. Exploring amnesia and secret twin theories in Britt Westbourne's General Hospital return. So, one last thing, General Hospital could say that Britt's Huntington's is in remission for now thanks to a medication, whether it's an existing one or an experimental treatment. I do hope Britt has her memories or gets them back soon, and Jason is the one to track her down and they get a second chance at romance. Jason needs a woman. Plus, Kelly Thiebaud said she's really hoping Jason and Britt get back together. She really liked the pairing. Hopefully that's a clue. We'll see.